What if the only thing standing between you and death was your wristwatch? But not just any watch. These were tough, military-grade timepieces built to survive the unthinkable. From the freezing skies of World War II to the crushing depths of secret naval operations and even the shadowy world of covert ops. Imagine being able to change the course of history with a device so small you could hold it in the palm of your hand. Could one watch really save a soldier stranded behind enemy lines or a Navy SEAL undercover? In this video, we will explore 25 military watches that didn't just tell time. They saved lives, helped win battles, and made history. And with every story, you'll get to see how these warriors relied on their watches to make it through. By the end of the journey, you might find yourself realizing that the best survival tool you never knew you needed has been ticking all along. Picture this. It's World War II. You're a pilot in a deadly dogfight high above enemy lines or a Navy diver on a covert underwater mission. Your survival depends on one thing, your watch. But not just any watch. These are saviors, designed to keep ticking when all else failed, whether it was freezing high altitudes, intense combat conditions, or deep underwater pressure. Before wristwatches became standard, most soldiers used pocket watches, clunky and far from ideal for combat. But as warfare evolved, so did the tools needed for survival. And suddenly, what was once just a woman accessory became a soldier most trusted companion. But what made these watches so crucial? Let's jump into World War II fighter jet to find out how these watches truly earned their legendary status. Let's jump back to 1940s, an era where military aviation was on the rise. Imagine being a World War II pilot, navigating about enemy territory, knowing that every second, every decision could be life or death. And high altitudes? They weren't friendly to regular watches. Pilots needed timepieces that were accurate, anti-magnetic, and rugged. Meet RAF navigator James Kelly, a man on a mission who soon found himself in a tough spot. His plane was hit during a mission over Germany, and they lost radio contact. What saved his crew? His IVC Mark 11. That watch helped him guide their course based on the stars. Precision was his lifeline. This is a simulated story based on real experiences of pilots like Warrant Officer Arthur Mostyn Davis. The IVC Mark 11, launched in 1948, was built for RAF navigators known for anti-magnetic properties and incredible durability. And here's a cool detail. Its original dials were signed as MK11 or Mark 11, which later evolved in civilian models. The IVC Mark 11 became far more popular and iconic than the B-Uhr or Beobachtungs-Uhren watches. During and after World War II, even through both served military purposes, the B-Uhr was a type of observation watch used by Luftwaffe, produced not just by IVC, but also by brands like Leica, Stover, Vemper, and Elangazona. These watches were large, around 55 mm in diameter, designed to be worn over the flight jackets, and characterized by their high contrast, easily readable dials. While they played a significant role in aviation during the war, they were generally produced in limited quantities. Now, imagine a British officer trapped behind the enemy lines. His only tool for escape? Longines WWII, one of the legendary Dirty Dozen military watches. The Dirty Dozen refers to 12 watch manufacturers commissioned by the British Ministry of Defense to create rugged, reliable and precise military watches. Brands like Longines, Omega and Jaeger-LeCoultre made them famous, but the rarest one? The Grana, with fewer than 1,500 pieces produced. The Dirty Dozen wasn't just about watches. They were accompanied by military compasses, chronometers, and other precision tools designed to help soldiers survive the chaos of war. These watches weren't just keeping time, they were keeping soldiers alive. But what kind of watch has won the war? Picture a US Army Air Force pilot checking his Boulevard A11 as he flies through the enemy skies in World War II. The A11 hacking seconds function when second-hand halting while setting time for a precise time synchronization made it a crucial tool in mission success. Produced by Boulevard, Elgin and Waltham, the A11 was issued in huge numbers, but slight variations existed between manufacturers. When it came to timing in the air, chronographs were crucial. The Hohe Bundeswehr 1550SG issued to the German Air Force featured a flyback function, letting pilots reset timers in a split second. One Luftwaffe pilot used his Hoya to time a critical emergency descent, avoiding enemy radar. His watch quite literally saved his life. He's ironically one of the most iconic watches used by Israeli Air Force pilots for its precision and durability in high-pressure missions. The Breitling Navitimer became another aviator's best friend with its circle slide rule, perfect for mid-flight calculations. And for Chinese pilots, the Seagull 1963, developed under Project 304, served as a critical tool in the skies. Ever used your watch for more than just telling the time? These pilots use their watches to calculate fuel, navigation, and survival. The Japanese Seikosha Kamikaze watch was produced by Seiko for the Imperial Japanese Navy during World War II, specifically designed for use by kamikaze pilots. These watches were made to be highly legible with large dials and simple numerals, allowing pilots to read them quickly during high-stress situations. Unlike many other military watches of the era, the Seikosha watches were designed for one-way missions, meaning they don't focus as much on durability, but rather on clarity and functionality. The Seikosha Kamikaze watch has a unique place in horological history, reflecting the Japanese military's strategic use of precision timekeeping in their desperate last-ditch efforts in this war. While not as widely recognized or as popular as the BO or IVC Mark 11, the Seikosha remains an important military watch with significant historical context. What about those stranded behind enemy lines on the ground? Could their watch be their only hope? Let's find out. Hop back in time and you're now a soldier in the Battle of the Bulge. It's freezing, foggy and brutal, but you have the Hamilton 6B. Could it hold the key to your survival? History always has lessons to offer. One soldier shared how he used his Hamilton to synchronize an artillery strike that saved his platoon from enemy attacks. He called it the one thing that never failed, even when everything else did. Field medics like Clifford Van Auken were under constant pressure while saving lives on chaotic battlefields. Van Auken's watch of choice? A pulsograph used to track heartbeats and provide vital info while treating the wounded. In conditions like those, every second mattered. These field watches, like the Hamilton 6B or CVC G10, needed to be durable, water-resistant, and shockproof. Their bold numerals and high contrast dials made it easy to read time quickly in any environment, even in the midst of the battle. Jump ahead to Vietnam. Soldiers needed to time patrols and coordinate precise extractions from the dense jungle terrain. The Bender's DTU-2AP was a go-to watch, tough and water-resistant, relied upon to help call in life-saving evacuations. These watches are tools that can work in literally any field of combat. The engineering that really does save lives. In Australia, the Seiko 7A28-7000, known as a rough Seiko, became the watch of choice for the Royal Australian Air Force, trusted for its precision and reliability in harsh conditions. One sergeant in Gulf War, who recounted how his marathon GPM watch never failed during desert patrols, even when other electronic devices broke down. It was the one thing that didn't break. And from the dense jungles to sandy deserts, what do you expect to find beneath the surface of the waves? Underwater missions brought a new set of challenges. Watches needed to survive extreme conditions: water pressure, salt, and darkness. Leading the charge, the Rolex Submariner. Released in 1953, it quickly became the diver's choice, including for the British Special Boat Service. While it started as a civilian model, its durability and waterproof case made it perfect for military use. Another watch of the Cold War era was the Omega Seamaster 300. Issued by the same Special Boat Service, it had anti-magnetic properties crucial for NATO covert operations. Then there was the Blancpain 50 Fathoms, the first watch designed specifically for military divers. Created for the French Navy's elite combat swimmers, the Nageur de Combat, it survived the Mediterranean mine clearance missions with its rotating bezel allowing divers to track their oxygen supply. Without it, said Robert Malbier, we would have been walking blind. The Panerai Radiomir was another legendary watch used by Italy's Decima Flotilla MAS, elite naval divers. Its large, luminous dials powered by radium were visible even in the darkest waters. There is a surprising fact that a lot of people don't know about. Rolex helped produce the movement used a modified Cotobert pocket watch caliber for these early radiomirs, a little-known collaboration in watch history. But whether they knew all about the legacy or not, the men under the ocean knew they could trust their hardware. The Anika Sherpa wasn't left behind either. Its supercompressor case made it a favorite for British Royal Engineers during Cold War underwater missions. Lieutenant Commander Douglas Wells relied on his Anika Sherpa during a Baltic Sea mission, saying timing was everything in that mission, and the Sherpa didn't let me down. Diamond watches are very popular nowadays through their versatile design, reliability, and historical heritage. But I'm a fan of chronographs like Hoya Carrera. What is your favorite type? Share in the comments, and I'm actually very curious to know. But diving wasn't the only covert mission. Next, we will step into the shadows, where secrecy and precision meant everything. You never know, you might just find out some of their secrets. Think D-Day, 1944. Allied troops wore Rolex Oyster watches during the Operation Overlord Normandy landings. When POVs had their watches confiscated by the Germans, Rolex founder Hans Wilsdorf sent them replacements for free, believing they'd pay him back when the war was over. The Soviets also had their own secret ops watch, the Vostok Amphibia, used in Operation Vodenoy to spy on NATO ships. The CIA? They preferred the Benro Sky Chief, used in Bay of Pigs operations in the late 50s and early 60s to sabotage Castro's regime. In Vietnam, the Benros Type 1 and 2 became standard for Navy SEALs and Marine Recon units, known for their durability and deep diving capabilities. And for NATO forces, the Lemania TG-195. The split-second chronograph was a favorite for timing artillery strikes and coordinating missions. One Swedish captain in the Arctic Circle wore his Lemania, saying, "Without the Lemania, the mission's timing would have been off by mere seconds." But that's all it takes for failure. For special ops that required secrecy and stealth, the Luminar Navy SEAL, with its tritium illumination and non-reflective surfaces, became the go-to timepiece. Hooked on what you're watching and want even more? Leave a comment on what you want to see next. Also, if you want to find the similar but more affordable watches, I mentioned them in the description. But how have these watches evolved into the ones we wear today? Let's explore their modern counterparts in our final chapter. These military watches didn't just disappear, they evolved. Models like Aviation Mark and Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Control carry the DNA of the Mark 11, but are designed for today's needs. The Rolex Submariner no date has become a symbol of adventure, and the Longines Heritage Military stays true to the Dirty Dozen's design. The Blancpain 50 Fathoms Automatique retains its dive capabilities, while the Panerai Radiomir 1940 remains a nod to its frogman roots. The Breitling Navitimer BO1 chronograph carries on the precision legacy for pilots. In modern missions, the Tudor Pelagus helped the French Commandos Marine in underwater mine clearance, proving that military watches still hold their ground today. But how do modern smartwatches compare to these military-grade timepieces? Do they have what it takes? Share your opinions. Let's figure out, are we for classy or modern tech-savvy watches? Modern watches like Apple Watch Series 8 bring high-tech features but fall short on durability and battery life. Can they really match up to the simplicity and reliability of military watches? Or would you trust the ruggedness of Bender's Type 1, World War II Rolex, or even Hoya over it? Sure, smartwatches have a place, but when it comes to surviving, nothing beats a classic military watch. So while today's smartwatches offer convenience, they fall short of the reliability and durability that military-grade timepieces provided. Could a military watch be the best tool you never knew you needed? Only you can answer that. In this journey of history, you've seen how watches became symbols of adventure, survival, and success. But what makes a brand like Rolex still so iconic today? There's more than just price and status. Check out my other video to dive deeper of marketing genius of Rolex. Until next time, remember, time never stops, and neither doth great style.